I've been a stay-at-home working dad for most of my career. I only had an office job for 3 months after graduating college. I would spend 45 minutes commuting every day on the train to a video production studio where I would spend 8 hours per day doing assistant video editing, earning $12 per hour. I thought I was making good money because I was used to earning $9 an hour in my student job, which wasn't nearly enough to keep me from getting into a bunch of student loan debt. If every college kid knew that they could freelance their way through school, I can tell you there would not be student loan debt. Anyways, there are 7 things that I want to discuss with you today that I wish I knew before I decided to freelance as a parent. Now, there are no regrets for me going into this whole thing, having not known those things. I knew that I was the person that I was then, and there's no way for me to be the person I am now then, right? We all have to learn and grow. So I'm not coming from a place of regret of, I wish that I could have, known those things, and I'm walking around with all this regret that I didn't know it. This is really just coming from a place of, it would have been easier if I knew these things. So I'm hoping that I can teach you now so that you can avoid the stress that I had in those first couple of years. But my intention with this video is to help you learn from my lessons so that you can have a little bit easier of a time navigating that first phase of building up your freelance business as a stay-at-home dad. It is said that a smart person learns from their own mistakes and a wise person learns from someone else's mistakes. But the wisest people learn from someone else's successes. That's what John C. Maxwell said. I hope that you can learn from my mistakes and successes as a freelancing dad. So here's what I wish I knew before I started freelancing as a stay-at-home parent. 1, my skill that I was selling as a service was not enough to make money. I wish I knew that, because I was like, okay, I'm a great video editor. I've been doing it since I was 12. I knew what I was doing. I knew how to work quickly, and I had the creativity and the technical skill with video editing, so I shouldn't have any problem making plenty of money doing this, right? Wrong. I knew how to shoot and edit videos. I did not know how to communicate that value and of that skill to people. So I struggled to find clients. My skill in video editing was not enough. It didn't compensate for my lack of sales and communication skills. So if you can't communicate your value to people, then that skill that you have that you're selling doesn't really do you much good. So I encourage you to embrace sales, learn those communication skills now, because I pushed it off too long. And I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't push off learning about sales a whole year and a half, and I would have found clients much sooner. So learn about it. Tune in here. We'll certainly be teaching about how to sell in the context of freelancing, but be getting out of your comfort zone every single day, practicing what you're learning until you're finding those clients. The second thing is that your kids want to be allowed to come into your workspace. Yeah, going into it, I really thought it would be easy to be able to just come in my home office and work and not hear from my kids all day while I was working. Nope. Dad, can you play? Dad, when are you going to be done? Come on, why are you working? Or this one, I'm going to break your computer, and even literally going underneath my desk and threatening to unplug my computer so that I would stop paying more attention to the computer than him. What are you doing now? I just want some time with you. Mom is nursing Emmett and I'm bored. And the list just goes on and on. And for a while I would get frustrated. I would push my oldest son away energetically by the tone of my voice, being all frustrated and telling him things like, I'm working, I can't play. Just let me work. I have to work. And all of these shorthanded phrases that wasn't validating his desire to spend time with me. The problem with that shorthanded response is that it makes it seem like to him that I'm just always going to be working. It makes it seem like I don't actually care about playing with him. there was no indication to him that I was going to stop at some point and spend time with him. So of course it's going to keep bothering me to get me to that point, to get me to take a break. The better thing to say would have been, I have to work for 1 more hour, then I'll take a break, and then me and you can go on a bike ride or something like that. And then I can ask him, okay, is that something you'd want to do, or is there something else you'd want to do once I'm on my break? With that approach, I'm making a solid plan to spend time with him so that he's being heard and validated in his desire to spend time with me. That always worked so much better when I finally figured that one out. Now, that didn't mean that he had to leave the office after I told him that, hey, in 1 hour I'll be done and then we can spend time together. Sometimes he just still wanted to be in my space as I was working, doing his own thing. So 2 years into my freelancing, when I've had enough of him banging on the door constantly, throwing toys at the door and whatnot, I finally decided to just open the door and let him into my office space whenever he wanted. If I wasn't on a video call or some important meeting, then I would let him come in. And so I created a little office space for him. As you can see here in this picture, this is my son's corner. And so we got him his own desk and set up his Legos and other projects and crayons and everything else so that he can come and go as he wants to work on his own things. And he even calls it work. He's like, I'm working. And so that has allowed him to feel as if he's welcome in my space and he can come and work whenever he wants to. And that has actually helped significantly in reducing the interruptions, that sometimes he'll just come in and do his own thing without even talking to me. When I finally let him into my workspace and gave him his own designated area, he felt as if, oh, Dad wants me to be around, and he's okay for me to be in his space. It's something you have to accept as a stay-at-home working parent, that you're not going to be able to shut your kids out and teach them to stay away as you work. You're going to have to figure out a different way of working where they are in your space and they may occasionally want to talk to you, and that's okay. Now, there was an adjustment for me to be okay with having some level of distraction, as he would occasionally still ask me questions and so forth about and would tell me things about what's going on in his world, and that was okay. But I had to get used to being able to have those subtle, quick interruptions here and there. But ultimately, I got a lot more done than when he was constantly banging on the door and yelling and having tantrums. That took a lot more effort dealing with that. So the next thing is that having a consistent work schedule is beyond important. I thought going into it that working from home meant that I could work in the middle of the night if I wanted to, and weekends, and just whenever I had extra time. I thought that it would be easy to just switch up my schedule and work whenever, but I soon learned that as a parent with the family, routine and schedule was very important. My kids thrive off of routine and consistency. We all do. And so if I work consistent hours at a specific time each day, then my wife and kids have an easier time planning around that. I'm predictable. My work is predictable, and they can plan their day around that. And the funny thing is, my son, who's only just barely 5, he doesn't quite understand time yet, but he really does on a deeper level. Because I've been consistent with my schedule, his just natural ability to keep track of time, even if he's not conscious of it, he knows when I'm supposed to be done. Like right around 4 o'clock, 4:30, when I'm usually done, he starts to come into my office and starts to demand more time from me. He's like, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, you done with work now? It's like he's literally expecting me to be done around the time that I'm scheduled to be done. It's crazy. So they really do pick up on that schedule, even if they don't understand time yet. Even the days that I take off. Once Friday comes around, he's expecting that I'm not going to work for 3 days, even though he still doesn't quite understand days and calendars and so forth. So there's real power in that. consistency even with young children. So because of that, I'm the dad that's not just always working, and that's a very easy trap to slip into when you're working at home, especially when you're building a business. Entrepreneurs tend to really fall into that trap of always working. So that brings me to my next point, which is open and close your business each day. I wish that I knew from the get-go the importance of having an open and close time for my business each day, almost like I'm a store. Okay, the doors are closed. We're closed for business. When I first started my freelance business, my head was always in work. Even when I wasn't working, my wife eventually called me out for it. And she was like, "Where are you? Like, why are you not with us?" And I said, "I was thinking about work stuff." And she said, "Well, if you're thinking about work stuff, then why don't you just go back to your office and go back to work? Because if you're not really here and present with us, then you might as well not physically be here." And she was right. And so my brain would still be at work even though I was physically with my family. So I wasn't really spending time with them. And many entrepreneurs fall into this trap because their cogs are constantly turning, trying to figure out how to keep growing their business or find their next client, or they're responding to emails or checking their email like I've been in the bad habit of in the past, where I was like, a potential client reached out to me. I better respond quickly or I'm not going to get the job. There was this scarcity mentality, but I can promise you that if you stick to your schedule and you wait until the next business day when you're actually back at work to respond to potential clients, you will still close those deals. The clients that matter will not care that they had to wait 24 hours or whatever. And it's usually not even that much. Weekends, the same thing. If you're only working Monday through Friday and not on the weekends, don't be responding to clients on the weekends. You have to train them to see you as a real business that only sticks to normal business hours and whatever the hours are that you set for yourself. And I can promise you it will pay off. You'll end up having the kind of clients you want to have. It's not worth sidelining the people in your life to get more money. Ever, even if you've convinced yourself that the money is for them, which as a dad, I've done that plenty of times. Oh, but this is for them. They need this money so they can survive and thrive. Your wife and kids at the end of the day, they don't want more money. They just want you. They just want you. And that's a powerful lesson that I learned about a year into starting my freelance business that my wife had to teach me. So for all dads out there, listen to your wives. They are very wise. And they will keep you in line and they will help you have the discipline you need as you're building your business, and they will help you not let your passion get away from you. So I had to start treating my business like a normal office space that opens and closes at a certain time. So I literally created an open and close sign. One side was green that said the word open on it. The other side was red, and it said closed on it. And this actually helped my son a lot too, because it gave him a visual cue of when dad was working and not working. So I would literally put it, hang it on my wall, and I'd flip it to open and then flip it to close when I was done for the day. And that really helped, having that visual cue to teach my brain this schedule thing. And it helped my family as well realize that I was disciplined in that schedule. So you really have to go the extra mile to create physical barriers and reminders so that you can turn work off when you're done for the day and be present with your family. Number 5 is you can't just take time off whenever you want spontaneously. Many want to be freelancers are under the impression that when they're their own boss, they can just randomly take time off or go out of town all of a sudden or not work because they don't feel like it. That cannot be farther from the truth. When you're freelancing, you're not committed to an employer, but you are committed to your clients and you're committed to your business. You are accountable to your clients to produce work and deliver things on time. So if you're going to take time off, you have to plan ahead to make sure that all your projects are still getting done on time. You can't just all of a sudden take time off and not work, or things won't get done and your business will start to collapse. Now, can you take just a couple of hours off if you need to address a personal need more spontaneously? Yeah, usually you can. I like being able to do that by being a freelancing dad, that I can, all of a sudden something comes up with my family or personal life and I need to address that. So I take, an hour, 2 hours or so off. to address that, that's usually fine. It usually doesn't delay me getting things done. And I've even had times where I've had to reschedule a meeting with a client because of a personal need that came up that I needed to address with my family. And that's okay too. You don't want to do that all the time. You need to kind of weigh, okay, what's absolutely urgent versus it can wait until later today. But clients are understanding of having to move meetings around if needed. And it's okay to have a little bit of power in that. And especially after 2020, when a lot of people were working at home and getting interrupted by their families, they're more open to it now than they even were before 2020. Now, the other reason why you need a default schedule that you stick to is for your client's sake as well, not just your family's sake, because then your clients know when they can rely on communicating with you. They know when they're going to get a response. They know when you're working. So they will communicate with you with your normal schedule in mind. And they're not going to treat you as if you're always working, because they can easily fall into that trap too, because they've likely worked with freelancers that are kind of always working. And so they're okay to make last minute requests at 10 p.m. at night. I've had some experiences like that in my early days of having all these last minute quick requests, them thinking that I was just working all the time, that I was just some single dude who had no other responsibilities, and that I could just jump on my computer and work whenever. So I had to train my clients otherwise, and in a lot of cases just find new clients. I had to just start finding clients that actually did respect that. So if you want to be successful, you need to work normal business hours most of the time. Number 6, separate your business and personal finances. This is extremely important. For the first year of freelancing, I thought it would be perfectly fine to use my personal bank account for all my business expenses and for my clients paying me. That was a huge mistake. I regretted it when tax season came and I had to go through hundreds of transactions in my personal bank account so that I could separate and isolate business expenses from personal expenses and business income from gift money or transfers from savings accounts and so forth. It was a total mess. So definitely create an LLC or a corporation and set up a designated business bank account for all of your financial stuff related to your business. That's something I wish I knew going into it, and that's something I wish I did not delay, and it would have saved me a huge headache in that first year. Also, this creates safety for your family and your personal finances. If you're mingling your personal finances with your business finances, if you were to ever get sued or audited or whatever, your personal assets and finances are now at stake and they're at risk. Number 7, probably the most important one, is to include your wife in all of your financial decisions and planning, even if you're the only one working. I've always liked handling the bills and finances, but my wife and I both realized that it was a huge mistake that she was staying out of so much of that. And we got into $20,000 of credit card debt a year into my freelancing career. And as a dad who has always been the only income earner for my family, I had a lot of pressure to provide, but I also took on too much of the financial burden when it comes to planning and handling the finances. And my wife realized that she was being too passive towards it and thinking that because she wasn't earning any money, she wasn't working, that somehow she should just stay out of it. But that was a huge mistake on both of our parts. That your money, your financial planning needs both of your perspectives, not just the person working. It needs both sets of eyes. And I've never been under the impression that the money I've earned is only my money. And I hope that you don't think that if you're providing for your family, all the money you earn is your family's money, not just yours. But I've always seen it as my wife and kids' money too. And in all honesty, my wife, I swear, works harder than me most days. But regardless of the pride you may have as a providing dad, you must see your wife as an equal partner in your financial planning and your money management. That is absolutely vital. And she will bring a lot of great insight into that part of your life. Once we came together financially, I started earning a lot more money and we started climbing out of debt. And we actually paid off $20,000 of debt within 6 months. It's okay if you decide that your wife is the one that pays the bills, or maybe she tracks the budget, or you can divide different roles within that, but you have to come together to be on the same page with your current financial situation, that you're both aware of what's going on, and you're both having financial meetings, and you both agree on your financial priorities with how to spend money, how to save it, what you're doing with your money, how to budget it. Because financial disagreements are a leading cause of divorce. So it's extremely important that you unite with your wife right now on everything related to money and finances, even if you're the only one working. So don't avoid talking to her about finances, even when it's really bad, because that's what I did. I avoided it. Hopefully these 7 things today will help you be more prepared than I was when I started my career as a freelancing dad. If you want to share your stories, or if you have any questions for me, be sure to drop a comment below and I will respond to you. I want us to have a conversation so that we can learn from each other as we navigate this whole freelancing thing, being a stay-at-home parent. I'll see you next time.